going to be talking about the difference between sex and gender. And you might be thinking, what? I thought those were two pretty similar things.
Actually, I thought they were identical, with the exception of spelling, pronunciation, etymology, and what they can mean in other contexts.
But they're actually very, very different.
Not if we are talking about humans and other creatures.
We'll start with sex, if you know what I mean. When we talk about a person's sex, we normally use it to refer to their biology.
Look, gender role reinforcement. How unexpected.
It's a two-category or binary system based on a person's genitalia, chromosomes, and hormones that classifies people as either male or female.
No, that's not how this works. Sex is defined by how you reproduce, which in humans is determined by chromosomes, but in case of birth defects that make reproduction impossible, sex is defined by those chromosomes. Therefore, in reality, sex is actually defined by chromosomes, and definition by reproductive system is obsolete. Both chromosomes and the reproductive system is usually identified via genitalia because it's a pretty good metric. Chromosomes also affect hormones, which in turn affects other characteristics. If we ignore birth defects, all of these things are the same for everyone with the same sex.
It's also the social, the legal, and the medical classifications of one's body that's assigned at birth.
Fucking moron. It's not assigned, it's identified. And in what way is it a social classification? I will have to disagree with you that it is a legal classification if it was not for the fact that women are offered additional rights by law.
It may seem like a pretty simple idea, but can actually be pretty problematic, but we'll talk more about that later.
I'm looking forward to it, because I don't believe you that observing your sex, which can be important for medical reasons and is obvious, is problematic.
Gender, on the other hand, is slightly trickier. So much so that entire fields of study are dedicated to figuring out the social significance it has on people's lives. For example, shockingly, I am a women's and gender study major, so I think gender is pretty damn fascinating.
My condolences, and it wasn't shocking. You're a feminist after all.
Gender is many things.
Not in the context of living things.
Gender is how someone identifies, and it's something that's ascribed to each of us at birth in relation to our bodies.
You are talking about gender identity, not gender. And by referring to gender identity as gender, you are erasing gender expression. And when academics talk about gender, they are actually talking about gender roles. And no one ascribes your gender identity at birth. They only identify your gender, that is, your biological sex. When your birth is registered, they make a note of whether you're male or female. This is done so they can put it on your passport or other identification, so it can be used as a metric to check that your passport is real. Back in the days, your passport also listed your hair color and eye color, and your ear was promptly displayed, and it still shows your lens, your signature, and a photo of your face, all metrics to verify the passport. When they tell you that it's a boy or a girl, they are not trying to influence how you raise your child. Such notion is ridiculous. You can just look at the genitals, and doing so is inevitable. Gender identity is how you experience yourself in relation to what is typical for your gender. If it differs greatly from what is typical from your gender, you may have gender dysphoria, which could be a result of defects, but it is not necessarily a result of defects.
When you're born, you have no say in what gender you'll be raised as.
No shit, Sherlock, but your parents have a say in it. Although limited, because not everyone will necessarily respect it.
Basically, if you have a penis, you're a boy, and if you have a vagina, you're a girl. And if you're born intersex, like 1 out of every 2,000 people, meaning your genitalia is ambiguous or doesn't fit the traditional definition of what we consider male or female, then immediate emergency surgery is usually performed to make your body fit one of these definitions. Yikes!
The surgery is in the best interest of the child. It is not an aggression. It is not done so that everyone artificially fit into 2 categories. If you were born with a tail or a conjoined twin, I bet you would prefer surgery. Intersex is no different. It is a birth defect. The only thing I can find in favor of not performing surgery was a broken link to a claim that uncorrected intersex people rarely commit suicide.
However, gender is much more than that. Gender is a social category. It contains the roles, dress, behavior, and expression expected of a person based on an arbitrary category given to them at birth.
Just shoot me.
For example, the idea that women are nurturing and compassionate, whereas men are stoic and unemotional.
Non-feminist citation need.
I actually go into this idea a lot more in my What is the Patriarchy video, so if you want to check that out, I'm going to link to it below. So basically, there are two schools of thought regarding gender. Social construction is the creation of categories that we attach meaning to. If you believe that gender is a social construct, then you basically believe that gender is something that we create within our societies. Social constructs vary across cultures and over time. So something that we would consider evidence that gender is socially constructed is that our views of femininity and masculinity are different now than they used to be 100 years ago, 200 years ago, even 50 years ago.
How did those ideas come to be?
Biological essentialism, on the other hand, is the belief that the traits we associate with men and women are undebatable facts and are unchanging.
For example, given the choice of a doll and a fire truck, a female baby will generally choose the doll, whereas a male baby will choose the fire truck. This has been observed in both humans and apes.
For example, an essentialist view of sex and gender would be that cisgender men are naturally more aggressive and dominating than women just because of their biological makeup and not the way that they're socially conditioned.
Well, that's a shit example, considering that women are just as aggressive as men.
I personally reject most essentialist ideas because I think it's a really limited view and doesn't account for any of the nuances of gender.
Oh, you reject that idea because you don't want that to be true. Well, tough luck. Reality is not determined by your wishes. And what kind of statement is that doesn't account for any of the nuance of gender? Biological essentialism does not reject the idea of different levels of hormones or birth defects. So for what kind of nuances does it not account?
Sometimes social products have been around for so long that they seem natural and concrete and we don't even question them. But here are some things to consider. Gender is not something that's universal. Characteristics attributed to cis men and cis women have changed over time and vary from culture to culture. Gender is also much more fluid than we give it credit for. Biological essentialism pretty much completely invalidates the existence of trans and non-binary people.
No, it doesn't. That's stupid. Biological essentialism is just the notion that these things are determined by biology. It does not say that your biology cannot be atypical and cause dysphoria. Men's and women's brains are physically different. If a man is born with a female brain, this will probably cause dysphoria, but it is still part of his biology and is therefore not invalidated by biological essentialism.
When we think of gender and sex, we normally think of sex as purely biological and gender as something that's social. But even when you look at biological sex, it's not necessarily something that's natural or essentialist. Physical characteristics like genitalia and chromosomes exist, but sex as a category is a social construction.
That's retarded. Please elaborate.
For example, the ancient Greeks only had a one-sex system. They viewed women as inside-out men.
So, it's a binary system. Inside-out men and non-inside-out men. And why the fuck are you citing ancient Greece? They didn't know about chromosomes. Did they know anything else than the difference in genitalia?
Flash forward to today, where doctors are slowly beginning to change their views about sex and gender, and are starting to view intersex as a third category of classification.
Citation fucking needed. Note, many, yes, that is a weasel word, but it is what my source is using. Intersex people do not support classifying intersex as a third gender.
Because why should we force an unnecessary and irreversible surgery on intersex babies to make them conform to an inaccurate two-sex system when we can just let them figure it out as they grow up?
Because it's in your best interest. The two-sex system is accurate, but sometimes something does not fit into the description of male or female. Just like humans don't have tails, but some are born with a tail. I'm not going to repeat myself further.
Also, for a system that is supposedly based on biology, it only takes a very surface-level view of sex.
Sex is not supposed to describe you entirely. For example, it does not describe what music you like or what eye color you have. It describes what's relevant to your reproduction. However, secondary sex characteristics are also determined by your sex. But sex itself is not supposed to describe those things. It's just a side effect.
Most of the time, doctors will just be like, hey, you have a penis, you must be a boy, instead of taking a deeper look at chromosomal makeup.
Because that would be unnecessarily invasive and a waste of resources.
There are a lot of sex chromosome disorders that can happen that might not even be readily apparent by just looking at physical characteristics of someone's body.
And how common are they?
So let me know what you guys thought. Leave a comment telling me about your experiences with gender.
My gender identity and my gender expression correlates positively with my gender, that is, my biological sex.
Are you more of a social constructionist or a biological essentialist? In which case, I might need to direct you to some more information.
I'm a biological essentialist, but I do recognize that some things that are considered manly or womanly are socially constructed, but those things are very rare. But please, direct me to some more information.
Anyway, like this video if you learned something, and subscribe for more videos.
And dislike it if you think she's wrong.